Hi there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. In this video, I'm putting together my project life spread for the week of January 27th through February 2nd, 2025, and I'm working with the new fun Storyteller kit from Ali Edwards. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, so this is the spread for the week of January 27th through February 2nd, 2025, and I'm working with the fun Storyteller kit from Ali Edwards. Coming to the classroom later this week, I'm sharing my plans for using this kit to tell a variety of stories, including project life spreads, which you will see process videos for all of the project life spreads coming here over the next couple of months. For this first one, I wanted to use these fun cards as a jumping off point. So I have planned to kind of tell, so there's 7 of these in the kit, and I've planned to kind of tell the story of 7 fun things throughout the week. So I initially just kind of laid them out, and I have a sketch for this in the classroom, which I'm looking at off screen. I'm not going to share it here because that is paid content in that classroom, but if you are a subscriber, you can go over there and check it out to get some ideas for how I'm translating this page sketch into a finished spread. So I planned the spread before I lived this week, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to set out looking for stories about fun. However, I woke up on Monday morning and I just was not feeling great. I was a mess for no reason. I was stressed over some stuff with my property tax, and my daughter called and I found out her dog had passed away overnight. So that is not really fun. And so I kind of considered scrapping the whole idea and moving this spread idea to another week, which would have been totally fine and I could have done that. However, I started to think about it and I thought that, you know, making this the jumping off point for this week might actually be good for me to try to find those little pieces of fun throughout a harder week. So that's what I did. And I also did a little bit of journaling about that. So I journaled about how I felt on Monday and how I thought, you know, maybe I was going to scrap this idea, and I didn't. So I added that onto that card. I also had this pattern paper in here because I wanted to crop this down to create some 3x4 cards. So I'm going to create a title card and then at least one more filler card. I have that there. So I also digitally created this little card for our dog. It's my daughter's dog. I just pulled a favorite photo of the dog and added her name and her dates. She was exactly 15 years old. And then I'm going to put this over here. And like, we kind of knew it was coming. She's had cancer for a little while, but still sad nonetheless. So I also put these in here, and I'm thinking I'm going to add this one on here, like a little title. And I'm just kind of going to lay this out to start. So I also have my Hobonichi cousin, which I am going to flip to my weekly spread because that's where I wrote down kind of the details of my week that I want to use as a guide for this spread. But I also wrote down here on this spread here, which was on the Monday, I started keeping a list of stories of fun for this week, which would be my jumping off point for this spread. So usually I don't do project life spreads with themes, but sometimes I do, and it's fun if you want to do one to set it up in advance and then keep a running list of those stories or make notes of things that fit that theme so that you will have all of the stories collected around that theme that you want to tell when it's time to put your spread together. So I ended up coming up with 8 ideas, and I'm crossing some of them out because they weren't very fun, but I wanted to just kind of include 7 ideas. So some of these I have photos for, and other ones I'm just going to do journaling. So what I'm going to do is kind of just lay out the photos I have so far and see what kind of layout I want. So I think I have 4 that have photos and 3 that don't. And I'm probably going to do some like stamping or something to get my titles in there. and adding a few other photos. And then I have one more spot here, which I think I'll probably just crop this again. I might need to do some additional journaling that is not one of these fun stories. So I'm just gonna crop this down again. Okay, so that is a good initial spread. I'm just thinking, okay, now before I start putting anything else into it, I'm thinking, okay, what do I want to do to kind of balance this out? So I don't love that these are all clumped right here. I want a photo. And then obviously I need, so I like that better. Actually, no, I like this better. And then I don't want, I kind of want to do that, but I also don't want it to be too like balanced. So I'm thinking maybe I'm going to move this guy here and then put this guy here, because I also didn't want these two like in a row. So I think I like that balance there. And then I don't want these to be two photo ones together. I think I'm going to put a photo on this one and then maybe over here. Let's see. So on this side, this one's very light. So I want it near some darker cards, and then this one's light. So I'm thinking this spot is a little heavy. So I might move this guy here. And then I have too many photos on this side. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna move this photo to here. Okay, so I think that looks a little more balanced. Then I need to put these guys on. So let's see how we roll. I think that would be good for there. Enjoying this. My kind of fun. Bring on the fun. I don't know that I want to put one on top of there. And then one of these I can just put on my title card, or even on one of these filler spots. I'm not sure. You know, I actually might put more of these. Like, I like how it just kind of fits in that shape. Okay, so that's kind of a good starting point. Now what I need to figure out is kind of how I'm going to tell these 7 stories of fun. And also, do I need another journaling card besides that and then this one? Or is that going to cover everything? So I know off the bat, I have a couple of photos here that have stories. So this one, we went grocery shopping in the snow. And then this was just a fun kind of Instagram trend that I jumped on. So those I think could just have like label stickers on them. Maybe not on it, but maybe I could tell the story of this one here. So I'm thinking maybe I could pull some label stickers in. And I might want to put label stickers on these ones that have photos, because I do want to add some sort of title or something. So I'm going to think about how I want to do that. I need to think about how I want to fill these cards, whether I want to pull in some stuff from my stash or add some words, or what I want to do. I'm thinking I want to do some alpha stamping on these for my titles. But besides that, that's kind of where my starting point is. And I don't know if I want to pair any additional embellishments with these to make them more of clusters. I'm thinking I want to adhere them with tiny attacher staples. I like the way that that looks, but I'm not sure if I want something else behind them or not. So those are all the things I'm going to think about. I'm going to put you guys on a voiceover as I put this one together. Okay, so I'm starting with the fun stories. So I have the 7 fun cards, and I decided to kind of organize what those 7 stories were on my sticky note here. You saw earlier in this video, I had that list in my Hobonichi cousin that I had kind of kept during the week, but I had come up with more than 7 options, and I had kind of narrowed it down for this spread. So I'm just thinking about what I want those 7 stories specifically to be titled, because I'm going to do some stamping to create cohesive titles on all 7 of those cards. Because some of them have photos and some don't, I was trying to think of a way to do the stamping so that I could include it on all of the cards and it would be cohesive whether there was a photo or not. So I'm going to do it on labels, but first I need to pick my alpha stamp. I had that one on my desk there and I was thinking about using that one, but it was a little too big. So I went over to my stamp organization binder and used that to select a stamp. If you are new to my channel and are not familiar with my stamp organization binder, I do have a video about it, but it is pretty old. I will link that down below, but expect some more content from me soon on stamp organization and an update. So back to my process. I am laying out the cards, and this is where I was thinking about doing the stamping on just the ones that didn't have the photos first. And then I decided to pull the other ones over just so I could have a visualization of how these would all look. I have this label stickers from Ali Edwards, and I'm going to stamp on those for the ones that have photos. So I was kind of trying to figure out how I really wanted them arranged and how I was going to do my stamping. I'm going to put this on super fast forward for the stamping because that portion does take a long time. I tend to watch YouTube videos in the background while I'm doing this, and I kind of work through it I like to play a little game with myself of like how many times I can use the same letter on multiple cards to write my words without switching the letter as often because it could get a little tedious, but I enjoy it when I do these little games with myself. And I'm crossing off letters on that sticky note as I go just to keep track of what I've already stamped because I'm stamping multiple words at once because I don't want to make a mistake. I have definitely done that in the past, but I'm not doing that at this point. I didn't do that here, and so I'm happy with how these turned out. So going through the 7 stories, the first one is about my new journaling routine, which I kind of came up with early this week. I just had kind of fallen into a little bit of a journaling slump. I'd been journaling before bed primarily, and when I originally started that, it was supposed to be a place to kind of finish up my journal spread for the day, but what was happening was I wasn't even touching my journal until bedtime, and it was taking way too much time out of my evening routine, and I was tired and I didn't want to have to think about it. So I switched up my journaling routine this week and started doing some devoted journaling time immediately after work in the afternoon, which really kind of reinvigorated my joy in my journal. So I made that my fun number 1. Fun number 2 is playing on my Nintendo Switch. I've been really obsessed with the game Super Mario 3D World right now. I'm getting close to beating it, but I've been really enjoying that, and it's a fun, cozy activity for the winter time. For number 3, I did pumpkin play, which was just kind of playing with my cat Pumpkin. He's been really obsessed with playing with his spring at bedtime. It's like a little plastic spring, and he loves them so much. I don't know why he finds springs to be so exciting, but he does. So that was my number 3. Number 4 was my new sticker organization, which is something that I just decided to do this week. I had kind of outgrown my previous sticker organization and it was getting like just not that functional anymore. And I decided rather than fighting it to allow myself this larger box, which is super cute. Number 5 is work, which I admit is not really fun. But I journaled about some things that were happening at work this week and how I am currently enjoying my job and the things that I do love about my job in this current season. For number 6, I did a vacation prep because we are currently getting ready to go on vacation, which is tons of fun. And I was doing a lot of prep this week. Some of it was planning our itineraries and planning my outfits and that kind of stuff. Well, not entirely fun on its own. It's fun what it's leading up to. And then the final one was my mugs. So for this year, well, for the past few years, I've been collecting mugs and I really enjoy seasonal mugs. But for this year, I've been rotating my mugs out every month. I plan to have my 12 mugs on display that are related to the month. So this week was the beginning of February. So I rotated out to my February mugs and I just think that's a little fun thing I'm doing this year. So those are my 7 stories. As you can see, they're not big fun activities. You know, we didn't do anything really exciting this week, but I was able to find these little pieces of fun in my week, and I'm really happy that I ended up sticking with this theme. Here I'm just doing my journaling on these cards. I'm going to do some journaling about each of these topics, but what I end up doing is kind of going back and forth between journaling and working on other pieces of the spread because my hand does get tired. And I do like to do a lot of handwriting, but my hand gets tired and then I start getting a little sloppy. So to prevent that, I'll do 1 or 2 journaling cards of journaling, and then I'll work on something else before I complete my journaling. Currently, I'm using the Energel Klena 0.5 pen. This is my favorite kind of go-to pen of the moment. I have quite a few of them, and they come in different color barrels, but they're all black ink. And I enjoy just having these pens. They're not only super cute, but they write really well. I do have a link in the description box below if you are looking for a new pen. I highly recommend these for journaling in your scrapbooks or journal or planning just an everyday life gel pen. You can see after doing some of my journaling, I'm rearranging some of the cards. I don't love all the blocks of journaling touching each other, so I'm just trying to balance the spread as each of the pockets are coming together. For my title card, I just used my favorite rolling date stamp to add the dates on this little chipboard piece from the kit, and I'm adding that on this 6x8 pattern paper that I had cropped down to create 3 cards for my spread. For that rolling date stamp, I did pick it up on Amazon, so I'm going to leave a link in the description box below if it's still available. I am now moving on to this typed journaling card. I did this journaling typed just because I had a bit more of the story I wanted to include, and I definitely could have handwritten it, but you can see I got a lot of text onto that card, so typing it just gave me the opportunity to fit a little bit more and have it look a little bit different from the other journaling on the spread. I decided to add just one of the die cut pieces from the kit at the top of that journaling card and move on to this one. So for this card, I wanted to do my bullet point list of other stories. This is something I do in pretty much every Project Life spread. I have a card which holds a bullet point list of small stories from the week that were not documented elsewhere in a journaling card or a photo, just like little details. For this one, I decided to do it a little bit different and used one of the label stickers from that sheet from Allie Edwards and added it on here, cut into 2 pieces to create some journaling spots. And then I'm doing dots with my Zig dot marker, which is one of my favorite markers to use in journaling and planning. I use it all the time to create dots, and I've just created that bullet point list of items from the week. So these were things like lots of crafting and filming, working on the New York Times connection, crosswords and Wordle, yoga every other day, reading before bedtime, and watching Dear Child on Netflix. If you haven't seen that show, it is a cute little mini series. I guess I shouldn't say cute. It's a thriller mini series, but it's very well done. And I binged it in like a day and a half. It is only, I think, 6 episodes, but still. So moving on to this card here, I decided I wanted to do a little bit more stamping because I didn't have a ton of journaling to do, and Pumpkin by himself was not the fun thing. It was playing with Pumpkin and kind of like he was having fun. I suppose it was also entertainment for me. And so I was just journaling about how he's been obsessed with his spring lately and the things that we've been playing with his spring onto this card. So as you can see, I'm going back and forth from various spots on the spread, working on different cards. And I like doing this not only for my hand to rest, but also just to kind of keep the balance of the spread as I'm working on it. And as cards start to fill up, I start to see a bit more of how they look next to each other, and I shift around the order. I think the order is now set with how I'm going to keep it, but it did take me a few tries there to kind of shift some things around. This is a screenshot I took of FaceTiming with my daughter. I don't have as many pictures of her in my album lately because she doesn't live with me anymore. And I have realized that even though I see her quite a bit still, I don't usually take pictures when I see her. So I decided to just do a screenshot of us FaceTiming, which is something we do pretty regularly now to catch up. And that was a way to include her in my album. This photo was from going grocery shopping in the snow. This week there were a lot of snow squalls and freezing rain. And all of those things were not fun to me, but the fun part about it is being able to stay in. So I did want to document it. We did have to go out grocery shopping in the snow squalls, but we got out super early, and between the snow and it being early, the grocery stores were pretty much deserted, which was really nice because I hate when they're crowded. This photo here is just a cute photo of Pumpkin on the bed. I take a ton of photos of him, and he ends up being a lot of my filler content when I need extra pockets filled at the end of the week. So I'm moving on. This right here, like I said, this was that fun Instagram trend that was going around saying the vibes I bring to the function and making a collage. So I made a collage on Pinterest and shared it on my Instagram stories, and I decided to print it out to include it in here. I added a label sticker on it just to add a little more context because it didn't actually say anything on it to explain what it was for. And by doing that, I used up the entire sheet of labels. I am so proud of myself for using that up and getting some supplies from my stash completed. That is something I'm really trying to work on this year, is reducing my stash. I do track all of my supplies coming in and going out, and stickers are one of those things that I hadn't been tracking, and I had realized that it was getting a little out of hand, possibly because they were a supply that I wasn't tracking. So I am starting to track them now. So using up a sheet of stickers is just, it just feels good. So that's just something I wanted to kind of celebrate and point out that I am trying to use more supplies than bring into the house. If you want to see more information on that, if you watch any of my Plan With Me videos, you can see how I actually track my supplies. I will link the most recent one for you down below. For this final filler card, I decided to stack some word phrase strips in the middle of this pattern paper, just to add a little bit of detail to the spread and use up some of these stickers. I decided to go with neutrals. I went with some whites and some gray ones because I thought there were enough colors on the spread already. I did stick them on there upside down. That was just like a good way for me to be able to see it as I was sticking them down. But that became, I think, my favorite card in the spread. I really like how that one turned out. Now I'm just going to go ahead and slip everything into the pockets. I do have that filler card with a quote there and the card with Lola that I made digitally. I'm not adding anything else onto that card to commemorate her. I didn't do any other journaling or anything. I will probably do something in my daughter's album, but for Project Life, I felt like just commemorating that she passed away this week was sufficient. I didn't really want to linger on that story. So that is going to wrap up this spread. I'm going to finish sticking these into the pockets, and then I will share a completed image of the completed spread with you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And I really, really appreciate when you guys leave me comments or if you share my videos so that other people can find my channel. Thank you guys so, so much for being here. And I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Bye.